Okay, Grown Black Folks Talk now on YouTube and on TikTok. This is actually by YouTube subscriber request. Traying Pack Baby asking me to respond to the surprise withdrawal of President Biden from the nomination for the Democratic ticket. Now, there's a couple things I want to say up front. First of all, you're entitled, no matter how you feel about this, you're entitled to all of your feelings. Some people are very much concerned. Some people very much are rejoicing, and some people are like me, and that's why I'm saying feel all your feelings, because I'm going to hit you with a take that you probably are not expecting. And that brings me to point two. I appreciate this subscriber's attachment to me, but if we have learned nothing from President Biden, it should be this: attach your hopes and your dreams and your emotional security to no mortal. We're not always going to be available. Last week at this time, I couldn't speak because our church had its pastor's anniversary, and the organist that we picked every alto part that was way, way, way too high, sitting on the brakes in the voice. So by the time I got to this time of day, I'm just not going to do that because it just hurts. Too bad. So if this had happened last week, you could forget about it. And just like if you attached your hopes to Joe Biden, knowing the man was 82, and you just thought he was the only hope, yeah, you're going to be real disappointed today. Never ever apply to someone else who is merely a mortal. Never ever put your hopes completely on that person because they are mortal. And even if they love you dearly, and even if they care the most, and their breath is in their nostril only as long as God decides to be there. You trip, you fall, you're gone at any age. That's number one. And number two, as President Biden said last week about the attempted assassination on Donald Trump, I have an opinion. I don't have a lot of facts. I know that President Joe Biden is out. I know that he is endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris, but that cannot be decided before the Democratic Convention. So with that being said, we have an open Democratic primary. I have no idea who is going to be likely to actually get the spot. So I'm going to withhold commentary on that. But I'm also going to say the same thing I said last week, which is what has actually changed? We have changed the Democratic candidate. But if you want Project 20, if you don't want Project 2025, that's cued for the next Republican candidate. Do I need to remind you and add a few things? Number one, if you are a black woman, the first allusion to black women is on page 4. And in the allusion, they're going to talk about single mothers being a problem. And the problem with society is you have the broken family. Single mothers are, 40% of the children are in single parent households, and black children have the most. Well, by definition, if all you've said is single mothers, and that's 40%, and then you just throw black children in there, that allows right racist bigots to assume that all those single mothers are black women. In reality, only a quarter of black women are single mothers. And if you look at the fact that black women are only 7.4% of the United States population, how much is a quarter of 7.4%? That's not even 2% of the country's single mothers. So Project 2025 tries to set you up. And then if you watch a black woman channel called Life with Melanie, you find out that people get mad at black women because when they assume those of us that aren't single mothers are, and then we correct them, then they get mad at us for correcting them. And then, as I said when I was doing Noir Aunties with Confidence with Love, what I need you to understand about white supremacist societies: if they classify you as a problem, it does not matter. No one who is a bigot of that type is looking to check. The assumption will be sufficient to get you into situations you can't get out of. Remember that Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden combined on getting 5 young men convicted of a crime they could not commit in their various ways. Well, let me correct that. Donald Trump took out ads to get it done. And then Hillary Clinton came out and went for it, calling them super predators. And then Joe Biden did an unjust crime bill based on it. Remember that. White supremacist systems don't play fair. So understand, If you're a black woman, trying to set you up on the first page. If you're a black man, go look at the revamp of the criminal justice and criminal system and understand that civil rights violations will not be taken up in large part by Justice Department on Project 2025, meaning there's not going to be anybody to be there for you when Derek Chauvin, the next Derek Chauvin, tries what he's going to try. Understand that. Understand that the banks that are going to be further deregulated are right now investing in private prisons to put you in. You're going to have to go through that table of contents and read about it. On page 592, you will find that Project 2025 would like to revise the work week to a work month. 160-hour work month, which will allow people to crowd up work days on you at the beginning and then take them away at the end and can work you overtime for the first part and then snatch it back from you at the end. So in other words, that'll allow people month to month to overschedule you and then not pay you anymore by underscheduling you when they don't have a need. Everybody's going to become a seasonal month-to-month worker if this happens. Project 2025, I mentioned banking, would like to remove the federal government doing FDIC insurance, which is to say that today, if your bank breaks, the FDIC, as part of the federal government, assures you that you will be repaid up to about $250,000. They would like to set it up so that you can put your money in that bank, your bank can take it to secure itself, and the federal government is going to sit there and look at you and have no obligation to repay your money. No backstop for the banks. For those of you who are really into history, this is what happened to black people. They put their money in the Freedmen Bank. The former Confederates decided they wanted to take that money out and nobody did anything. Project 2025 would like to revert every single one of you. And it will be equal opportunity, you having your deposits stolen out from under you with no federal backstop. That's the kind of situation you can be in. Now, if you think this is wonderful, vote for Donald Trump. If you don't think this is wonderful, vote for whoever the Democrat is who's running against him. Nothing has changed but the name of the Democratic candidate. It really is that simple. I need us to stay focused. The other thing I needed to stay focused on is we have to continue to build our own infrastructure. See, I'm not sitting up here putting out this book just to be putting it out. This is a way that you are able to learn how to get money that is not dependent on these old white men in power who do not want to leave. It took COVID-19 to get Donald Trump out. It took COVID-19 to get Joe Biden out. Do y'all understand? It's taken an actual plague in order to move these people's inability to think that someone else might be able to run the country. But I will give Joe Biden this much credit. He did go ahead and give Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, a ringing endorsement. The problem that we're going to have is you got to think about the fact that even with Project 2025 on the table, the number of people that have actually read it and established it versus the number of people that if they had problems with Barack Obama being president, or add the woman component, she doesn't have a clear path to the nomination. So you still need to get ready. So there's two things I want you to look at. 68% of us are independents, myself, and Democrats. We didn't want Donald Trump in 2020. We didn't want Joe Biden in 2020. But we looked at it and said, well, Joe Biden is not the answer, but we're not trying to deal with Donald Trump anymore. And so the people who supported Donald Trump, who picked a lot of his appointments in 2020, doubled down and created Project 2025. In hopes of getting him back in and doing everything they couldn't do the first time. Well, if 68% of us decide we don't want him in there, guess what? He still can't get in there. Be of good courage. Get your life together and get everybody you know to go vote. Because the same things are on the table. And at the same time, you have to be able to understand that the help that you're going to get as an average human being is not going to be there under Project 2025. Your federal government is just not going to be interested in doing that. When you listen to people talk about the Constitution as originalist, understand what that Supreme Court is saying. That Supreme Court is saying, we would like to revert the Constitution to when only landed white men had rights. That's your First Amendment and the first 10 amendments. So if you're going to be under an originalist court, and if the Democrats lose control of the House and Senate at the same time, you essentially are going to be reverted in a judicial, legislative, and executive branch. Will literally, it says in Project 2025, we're trying to break down the administrative state. What does that really mean? We want to take away everything that's been given to average people since at least Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And if you listen to some of them, they want to repeal the 19th. So really what we're going to do is roll it back to 1824. If you want that, you go on and vote for Donald Trump. Otherwise, nothing has changed. Bye.